crazy, but that's how it goes. Millions of people living as hos. But
this is Talk Sports Extra Time. I'm Mike Graham, and I'm delighted to say that welcoming into the studio, or I should say I'm welcoming into the studio, Mr. Mike Porky Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
Good morning, Mike. Great to be here again. Lots to talk about as we come to the end of the week. Lots of exciting developments in the world of football since I last saw you, which was only 36 hours ago.
Well, exactly. And amazingly, there's a new manager in town at West Brom. I haven't heard of him. I'm no doubt you're going to tell me that you've got encyclopedic knowledge of this guy, but it's another Spanish manager in the Premier League, which I suppose is no surprise because we've been sort of loving Spanish football for so long. Now we're bringing their managers in as well as their players. But you know anything about this guy?
Well, I know his name's Pepe Mel.
I know his name.
So I think
I know that much.
Yeah, yes, I know. What I'm saying is the name Pepe Mel, to me, is one reason why West Brom have given him the job.
Is it?
Well, it sounds quite exotic, doesn't it?
Doesn't at all, no. Sounds like a cartoon character.
How are you, Pepe?
Pepe sounds like a cartoon character.
How about this, though? But Pepe Mel is going to work for a club where his boss will be Richard Garlick. Can you imagine having a name, Garlick? He's the Richard Garlick's the chief exec of West Brom.
It's with a CK, though.
I think Jeremy Peace Jeremy Peace is chairman, isn't he? Peace, yeah.
So it's Peace, Pepe and Garlick.
Peace, Pepe and Garlick. That's right. Peace, Pepe and Garlick. That's quite a good combination.
It is.
But the point is that chairman and chief exec sometimes like exotic names, don't they? And just bringing this guy in on his track record in Spain alone is just I just don't understand it. The guy's never done anything.
He's written a couple of novels, apparently.
He's written a couple of novels. He came 7th with Real Betis, right? And somehow, because you come 7th in Spain, you get into the Europa League. You know, I mean, God knows how that works. I suppose they have 4 clubs in the Champions League, and so they get 3 others or something like that.
It's 3 or 4 or something
like that. Yeah.
Anyway.
But the point is that didn't seem to work out because he got sacked in December.
Did he not win it? Maybe he got in because he won a cup competition or something. Are you sure?
No, I don't think he won a cup competition, no. And anyway, the point of my story is Pepe Mel. By the way, I sometimes have a problem with Spanish managers, obviously, because
well, you've now got a Spanish manager, haven't you?
Well, Roberto Martinez is the best Spanish manager in this country, isn't he? Without a shadow of a doubt, because of course Jose is Portuguese, not Spanish.
Yes, he is.
So you can say that Roberto Martinez
and Pellegrini is Chilean, of course.
Pellegrini is Chilean. So Chilean, that's what I said.
Chilean.
You've never been to Chile, have you?
No, I haven't.
Right, well, I have.
I know you have.
And I've been to the Atacama Desert, mate, and I've trekked across the Atacama Desert.
How to pronounce Chile.
Yes, it does, because if I'm mixing with the Chileans, and I see them living in their rural sort of...
Chile is something that you eat.
Sort of hovels, for want of a better word.
Chile is something that you eat. Chile
no, you don't know what you're talking about. Don't know what you're talking about, honestly.
Anyway, what problems have you had with Spanish managers in the past?
Well, only with Rafael Benitez. Rafael and I don't get on too well.
Really? Why is that?
Well,
because he was manager of Liverpool.
Well, not just that, no, but Everton played Liverpool once on a Saturday, and I was watching the game in a place around the corner from here, and what happened was...
Wasn't a bar, by any chance?
Well, it was, yeah. It was a sports bar.
Funny that.
And what happened was Everton got a late equaliser in this game, as I recall it. And afterwards, I was watching the interview on the big screen in the place I was in, and he said, well, small clubs come to Anfield and they put up the shutters, Yeah. I got incensed at him calling Everton a small club compared to Liverpool.
Yeah.
So
Why do people get incensed when people say that?
I don't know.
Same with when anyone calls another club. You remember Sir Alex Ferguson slagged off Newcastle and called them a small club?
Yes.
And actually, Newcastle fans didn't care that much, but an awful lot of fans worry about whether they're a big club or a small club.
Well,
why do you worry about it?
Newcastle are a very big club, aren't they? Everton are a big club. You look at their track record, they're the 4th most successful club in the history of English football. So, but that's another story. Point is, I got incensed, so I came back here and I said I want to, reply to Benitez's insult against Everton. Yes, that's a good idea. Why don't we do that? And so I said,
what, on the air?
Yeah, on there, yes,
right. Yeah. After you've been in the bar?
Well, no, that was
not a good idea, that.
No, that was nothing to do with it, but it's not a good idea, I agree, because I was incensed and infuriated. And so what I said was... And perhaps it was a bit intemperate. I said that Mr. Benitez is calling them a small club, and Mr. Benitez comes from a country where people are still riding around on donkeys with loaves of bread under their arm. Now, somebody said to me at the time, what is the relevance?
It's a bit of a stretch, that, isn't it?
I said, what is the relevance of what country Mr. Benitez goes? I said, well, Spanish comes to this country, calls Everton small, I'm not having it, and they still couldn't work out the analogy.
Well, it's a ridiculous thing to say.
Well, anyway, the thinking pattern is this. Think thinking pattern is this, mate. It hadn't been so long since we'd been doing the European Championships in Portugal.
Yeah.
And part of the deal that we had commercially in those days was we flew to Madrid, and then we had to drive these Ford cars from Madrid to what's the capital? Lisbon. That's right, Lisbon. Yeah. Now, I don't know if you've ever taken that route. There's no reason why you should have done.
I don't think I have, no.
But let me tell you, you go across scrubland, which is, I mean, to call it third world, it's more like fourth world.
I've driven from the north coast, from Bilbao down to Madrid, so I know what you're talking about. It's where they used to film a lot of spaghetti westerns.
Yes, that's right.
Because it looks like the Wild West.
That is absolutely right. What's that?
That's the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Thank you very much indeed. You got that. Oh, look, I've knocked my headphones off.
It's not as good as Pepe, Peace and Garlic.
No, Pepe, Peace and Garlic. Anyway, the point of my story is, when we were taking this journey with our engineer, the late, great Jim Brown, God rest your soul, Jim, we passed a load of people on donkeys. And they were peasants, you know. They did look like they were extras in a Sergio Leone spaghetti western, and they had loads of bread under their arms. So my reference was to that.
Didn't see Claudia Cardinale.
Oh, it's absolutely shame, yeah, or Clint Eastwood. And so I wasn't being rude to the Spanish people. I was saying that there are still parts of Spain which are actually not very well developed.
Your insinuation was one of to make out that Rafa Benitez was some kind of peasant from a peasant country where nobody knows anything.
Well, he insulted my club, so I insulted him. Yeah. It's as simple as that, really.
Well, I'm glad you've admitted it now.
Yeah,
I draw a line under it now. I mean, have you ever seen him anywhere? Have you ever seen him at any games?
Do you know, the last time I saw him was at the golf at Royal Liverpool, which is Hoylake, when the Open was played there, because he actually lives on he's got the biggest house on the Wirral. It's worth over £8 million.
Well, this is why everyone thinks he's always going to come back to the Premier League, because
it's absolutely right. Yeah. It's absolutely right. He lives up there. Anyway,
did he speak to you?
I think pleasantries, pleasantries.
He didn't hand you a loaf of bread or anything?
No, he didn't have a loaf of bread.
Did you say, where's your donkey?
Where's your donkey? Yeah, that's right. Actually, Clint Eastwood had a donkey in the first film, didn't he? A Fistful of Dollars.
No, he had a horse.
No, he didn't. He had a donkey, honestly.
Well, he might have had a donkey on the side.
Don't you remember?
He didn't ride the donkey.
No, remember, the first guy he shot for insulting his ass. I mean, and not his posterior.
But he might have had that because he didn't have a proper horse or something. But I mean,
no, don't you remember? There was a line saying,
I haven't seen it for a long time.
He said, my ass does not like being insulted. And he wasn't talking about his posterior because the Americans don't call it the ass, do they? I suppose they do, actually.
No, it's us that don't.
Yeah, but the ass was a reference to a donkey. It wasn't
a mule.
Sorry?
Sure, it wasn't a mule.
A mule. I think it was a mule, but he called it the mule. Yeah, my mule doesn't like being insulted. So they do have donkeys. Anyway, point is, this gets us back to this guy, Pepe Mel, of
who you
Peace, Garlic,
you clearly don't know anything about.
Well, no, I'm saying he's never won anything. He's 50 years of age. He's Spanish. He's now been appointed at West Brom. Richard Garlick's his boss. If my name was Garlick, I'd change my name, wouldn't you?
Yeah, what, to
Seriously.
Onions?
Well, no, to something, because doesn't it give you an image of sort of Dracula and people walking around with the crosses to stick through your heart and all that?
No. It
does me.
Not at all. It's just
I can't stand garlic. If somebody
ate garlic, you wouldn't have ever had a heart attack, because garlic's very good for your heart.
If somebody puts food on in front of me and I can even smell the garlic, I have to throw it away.
Really?
Oh, I just can't stand garlic. I can't stand going into restaurants where the minute you walk in, you've got the vapours of garlic all around you, It just doesn't do me any good at all.
Well, garlic is extremely good for you, and as I said, if you ate more of it would be good for you, but we'll talk about that later on.
Yeah.
What about Malky Mackay? Because I thought Malky Mackay was a shoo-in. In fact, you and I sat here not long ago saying that with Vincent Tan and the whole situation at Cardiff, West Brom was supposedly just waiting for him to be fired so they could hire him. So they obviously had a look at Malky Mackay and maybe at some of those deals that he did and decided they didn't fancy it.
Well, there's a line on the back of one of the papers this morning saying that Malky is being lined up for West Ham and that, it's imminent for Sam.
I've just seen a story that Billy Davis is in line for it as well.
Billy Davis in line for West Ham?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
From Nottingham Forest?
Piece in the Telegraph, which I've just noticed,
It must be an absolute, what's the word I'm looking for?
Disaster.
Agony. No, an agony to be Sam Allardyce at the moment because he knows that his head is on the block and the sword of Damocles could drop on his head any minute now, or will drop on his neck, actually.
I think it's already dropped, actually, looking at the way he was sitting the other night at the Manchester City game.
Weird, wasn't it?
That was really weird. Well, this is why people can't quite work out what's going on with Sam Allardyce, because there's been lots of fans talking, of course, all through the day at TalkSport. Some are thinking, is he trying to engineer some kind of a firing? Because he just doesn't seem to be... He wasn't out in the technical area very much. He was wearing that weird puffer jacket. What do they call
the headline,
him?
The Duffer with the Puffer.
Duffer with the Puffer, which was not bad. And so, I mean, he just didn't look like he cared about the fact that they were getting slaughtered by Manchester City. very unfortunate situation.
Yeah, I feel a bit for him but then again, when you say you feel for him, apparently he's got a £6 million settlement if he goes, and that's your view, is that he's not going because the board are too mean to pay him off.
They don't want to pay him off, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, haven't you got some idea about what West Ham should do about the second leg, though?
Well, yeah, I'm glad you got onto that because, we should talk some sense now. I mean, that game on the other night was embarrassing, 6-0. It was so embarrassing that when Zeko was interviewed after the game, he thought they'd only won 5-0.
Yeah, we heard that.
And
was it Roger Johnson that threw his shirt into the crowd and they threw it back?
Yeah, that's right.
They didn't even want it. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, thank you. And was his debut? It was Roger Johnson's debut.
Yeah.
Here, my debut shirt, the first I've ever worn for West Ham.
He spent most of it looking over his shoulder.
Yeah, you'd think most fans would say, I got the first shirt he ever played in, you know what I mean?
He was looking over his shoulder. He was saying, what's that? That's Negredo. It's just gone past you.
But anyway, look, my point is this, and I mean this very sincerely. People are going to mock this and deride it and say, don't be silly. But I honestly think that West Ham should apply to the Football League, who organise the competition, and Capital, who are the sponsors, and say, could we withdraw from the competition, please? Because the second leg, which is being played in the last week in January, I think, isn't it?
22nd or
something like that, yeah. I just think it's going to be an utter fiasco. To start off with, what am I talking about here? Who's playing who?
Manchester City.
And that's right,
West Ham.
Right,
What's going wrong with you?
Hang on, sorry.
What, have you had some kind of mental collapse?
No. I was thinking of the north-south divide. No Manchester City fans will travel down to West Ham for a midweek game when they know they're already leading 6-0.
Well, there might be some Manchester City fans in London that want to go.
Very, very few. Very few West Ham fans are going to turn up to see their team further humiliated.
I don't know if you heard that guy that rang up just before the news. He bought a ticket already. He bought it before.
Yeah.
Not him, no.
Yeah.
Another guy bought a ticket before the first leg happened, and he's taken his son.
Right.
£60 it's going to cost him, right?
Yeah.
Because it was 45 and 15. Now he learns that West Ham are slashing the price of the tickets because they can't sell them.
No.
And, of course, he doesn't get a refund.
He doesn't get a refund.
What should he do?
That's terrible, isn't it? Terribly bad news for him, for being a loyal fan.
If I was him, I'd write a very strong letter to David Gold and David Sullivan and say, I want my money back.
So would I, punished for being a real fan. So my view is that West Ham should withdraw from the competition with the backing of the sponsors and of the Football League, and they just don't bother playing the second leg. Yeah. It's just too embarrassing. I mean, what good will it do the competition itself for Manchester City to go there and score another 4 and win 10-0 on aggregate, which would be a record semi-final score?
The reason why this will never happen is the reason I said last night on the show that West Ham United now are all about money, and they'll have been paid by ITV to have that game televised, presumably, or BT Sport, whoever's doing it, and they will not want to give that money up.
I totally agree. It can't be called off for all sorts of contractual reasons, but it should be.
I think in the spirit of football, it should be.
It should be. I agree. By the way, you're talking about the owners of West Ham, Mr. Gold and Mr. Sullivan.
Yeah.
See, Mr. Sullivan wears this really bizarre sort of outfit, which looks like he's impersonating Leonid Brezhnev. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Have you not seen it?
No, I've not really noticed.
He wears the Russian hat, and he wears a dark overcoat with sort of...
Does it have fur on it or something?
Well, it looks a bit like that, but it's got the epaulets on the. And honestly, I thought to myself, I know what he's doing. He's making out he's a Russian commissar, and he's reminding those players that the next place they're going to be training could be a Siberian salt mine, because that's what they deserve.
Well, that is what they deserve. Mike Porky Parry and myself, Mike Graham, will be back with more next.
I don't think it's nice you laughing. See, my mule don't like people laughing. It's the crazy idea you're laughing at him. Now, if you apologize like I know you're going to, I might convince him that you really didn't mean it.
Right, a big thanks to the producer for finding that clip. I told you.
Apologise to my mule.
Yeah, I told you it was a mule. He had a horse.
I'd forgotten. I haven't seen that film for such a long time.
Well,
so for the first ever
well done
time,
to the boys behind the screen.
For the very first time ever, I think on this show, you've actually got something right.
Oh,
that's extraordinary.
Yeah,
well, because normally what happens is you come out with whatever it is, the nonsense you come out with, and the guys very kindly behind the glass find the evidence actually that you were wrong. But in this instance, I'm very happy to say that you were right.
I'll tell you something else I'm right about as well. This guy Pepe Mel, who comes from Seville.
Yeah.
Last time I was in Seville, England played Spain in Seville, and the streets are lined with orange trees. Yeah. Absolutely fantastic. You think, I'll go out and pick a few oranges for breakfast. when I tried to do that, policeman stopped me, almost at gunpoint. You're not allowed to pick them. They're all polluted. Right. And every morning, these vans
They're very hard-skinned, aren't they?
These vans come round and they harvest all the oranges in the streets because you're not allowed to eat because they're poisoned with things like, the toxic fumes from cars and all that kind of stuff.
Why do they harvest? What do they do with them then?
No, they go throw them away in
some
tip somewhere. Yeah,
they don't export them.
No. They throw them all away and stop people eating them.
The other funny story about Seville was, of course, famously where Jose Mourinho's Porto beat Celtic in the UEFA Cup final when it was still going on back in sort of, 2003 or
Brazil
something like that.
and I went there for that.
Yeah.
That was the previous occasion.
The amazing thing was that, that was when Celtic fans accused Jose Mourinho of being this terrible cheat and he cheated out of the final. 9 months after that game was finished, suddenly, mysteriously, Seville was littered with newborn babies with red hair.
No.
It's a true story.
What are you on about?
It's a true story.
Martin
Because
O'Neill...
all the Celtic fans went down there and basically, did what you do perhaps when you're on a foreign trip like that. And a lot of girls got pregnant and they gave birth to red-headed kids.
Ravished the local maidens,
I don't think
so
it's quite
to speak.
the right word, yeah.
Martin O'Neill was the manager of Celtic. And what happened was, Brazil, of course, all thanks to all people, still holds the record for goal scoring at Celtic Boys Club. I went out to the game and all that kind of stuff. I stayed at the stadium a bit longer than Brazil. Brazil goes back. By the time I get back, Brazil has literally given my room away to 4 drunken Celtic fans. And when I went into the room, no, I'm not joking.
The great thing is he wouldn't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, he wouldn't think there's anything wrong at all. When I went in, there was one double bed in there. There were 4 men in it, 4 drunk Celtic fans, all completely out of their mind on whiskey. And I banged on Brazil's door next door. I said, Al, help me get rid of this lot in here. Somebody's invaded my room. He said, no, Perky, I'll give it to them. Don't you worry. So am I supposed to sleep? I had to sleep in the bath.
Deary me. What a terrible story.
Shocking.
Now, I've got a strange story for you.
Right,
now, since I saw you on Monday, I had to pop back down to Sussex for 1 or 2 reasons that I can't go into.
To get the axe?
No, I'm not. I may do some more chopping this weekend, but I don't do any during midweek. I don't do any chopping because I've got to be careful not to exacerbate my blister. It's nearly gone away now, so I might have to give myself the weekend off. But strangely, even more strange because it's a bit rural as I've described it before. I had just a sort of a little stroll around the property to make sure everything was fine. The wind hadn't destabilised anything. And right smack in the middle of the garden was a white dove of peace. There's beautiful white doves, completely white.
What, just sitting there?
Dead as a doornail, lying on the grass.
Dead.
Dead.
Oh, yeah, okay. I can explain that.
I found that quite spooky because, for one thing, everybody knows about like the Harry Potter movies and it signifies some kind of evil. I just don't know.
Albatross.
It's like that's a different kind of bird, obviously.
Yeah.
We're not
Same
that close
thing.
to
It's
the
white,
sea.
though. It's white.
Well, it's not completely white. Anyway, the point is that, I'm starting to worry about, it didn't look as if it had been attacked by an animal, and it looked like it was freshly there in a way. I put a picture out on Twitter earlier, and it looked, in all other ways, apart from the fact that it was dead, looked completely perfect. It was really eerie and spooky.
Yeah. No,
did it signify something?
Well, you wouldn't know about these things, you see, Mike. If you did, you wouldn't have been spooked by it. At this time of the year, with these temperatures being, so variable, birds drop out of the sky on a regular basis, and people have died as a result of birds hitting them from height. People have died.
No, they haven't.
Yeah, they have.
I've seen these stories of groups of birds, or flocks of birds, I should say, falling down all simultaneously.
Well, there you go.
But I've never seen, and I've seen birds that fly into windows because they think they can fly all the way through a building.
Yeah.
But this was not near enough the window. This was a bird on its own.
No,
Why would one bird...
I'm telling you.
And also, if a bird fell on you, you wouldn't die.
Yeah, you would.
Unless it was an eagle.
If it was a frozen bird, because they get frozen...
They don't fly that high up.
Yeah, they do.
No, they don't.
Geese in particular.
How high do you think geese fly then?
Well...
They fly about 400 feet.
No, they can go up to 1,000 feet, geese, and they get very
it's
cold.
Not frozen there.
But listen, let me just tell you, I know these things. I've studied ornithology.
The white dove. You have not studied ornithology. Where did you study ornithology then? At the University of the Trent.
No.
Famous for its ornithological department, obviously.
I study a lot of things, but I'm telling you, and I've expressed this theory before, and people know it to be true. Birds do drop out of the sky. They have heart attacks. When there's a variance in temperature, they can go from warm weather to cold weather. There can be a vortex of warm weather coming up. Which
the polar vortex, that's what's going on in America.
The polar vortex, that's right, yeah. Talk about that in a minute. And the birds can drop out the sky. People have been killed by falling birds. I believe your dove must have been a victim of the cold snap and bang, its heart just
Well, why is only one of them there then?
Well, because
They don't fly on their own very often, do they, doves?
Well, I don't.
Normally
see,
there's two of them.
I don't see flocks of doves flying around.
No, they're
here.
not in flocks, but they go in twos, don't they, quite a lot? Because in my other house, in the old house, there was a pair of those ringneck doves, and there was always two of them.
Really? Well, I don't know anything about that.
They mate for life. Well, you're an ornithologist, supposedly. Why don't you know about that?
Well, because what I'm saying is you can study the individual characterisation of birds, but when it comes to studying birds in their natural environment, how am I supposed to know anything about that?
Yeah, well, how are you?
I can't fly.
Now, speaking of the polar vortex, you can't swim either. Speaking of the polar vortex, did you see those pictures of Niagara Falls earlier on?
Fantastic.
Unbelievable. And apparently, it looks like the whole thing's completely frozen. I think it's the New York side that is frozen. The Canadian side isn't quite frozen
Is that
yet.
right?
So there's still some water going in. But incredible pictures of such a massive, sort of national monument, huge, hundreds of feet high.
It's
and
unbelievable.
a great body of water.
What about the pictures of Chicago, which showed that all the lakes? I mean, that looked like a wasteland. But getting back to Niagara, there's a town nearby. I don't even
Have
know.
you been to Niagara Falls?
Yeah,
by the way?
I've been on the.
Which side?
Which side does the boat go on? The Maid
of the Mist.
Yeah, I've been
that
on
goes
that.
to the New York side.
That's right. Well, I've been on that.
So it's near Buffalo.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
near Buffalo.
That's where I went. Because on the other side of Niagara Falls is the place where the people go to get married.
What's that?
On the other side of the Canada side, because
What,
you can fly. It's a bit like the Gretna Green.
I was going to say
of
America's
Canada.
Gretna Green.
It is, yeah. People
Don't
go
know
there, and it's all kind of wedding chapels.
Is that
it's
right?
mini Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I haven't been there. What I was going to say is that there's a little town on this side, I think, and the spray from Niagara Falls all the time is a constant feature of this town, where people's skin over the years will turn white because so much salt is absorbed into their skin and all this kind of stuff.
White?
They turn white because of the stuff that's in the water. There's a constant spray across this town.
The pigment of their skin
Yeah,
changes.
pigment of the skin. Pigment of the skin.
So no matter what colour they are, they can be white.
Well,
like Michael Jackson, you mean?
No. If they're black people, they don't turn to white. But what I'm saying is, it calcifies white people who are already white into becoming whiter. If you see what I mean?
No, not really.
Yeah. But anyway, the point
I
of my
was
story
there. I never noticed any ridiculously white-looking people walking around.
No, look. The point of my
Well, how white are they? Are they like completely white? Is it a sort of a shade of magnolia? What sort of colour are they?
Well, they're very white. I've been there, I'm telling you. And what happens is there's this constant spray in the air, which you can't actually see. I'm not. Your clothes always feel as though they're a bit sort of sticky, but they're not. They're wet because of the spray from Niagara Falls.
What's the name of this town?
I don't know the name.
You can't remember the name of the town, funnily enough.
But listen, what I'm saying is...
Are you sure you hadn't been in that revolving restaurant?
No, I hadn't been in the revolving restaurant. But the point of my story is, during the cold spell that we've got now, this polar vortex, which has settled on that part of the world... all that spray has suddenly turned to ice, and now...
So the white people must be really looking weird.
Well, the buildings are, because every building in town is now gone white, and the pavements are white, and everything's white. The cars are all white. I mean, it is an amazing scene.
Well, why is there so much calcium in the water, anyway?
I don't know.
You don't know the answer to that either.
Well, it comes off the rocks, obviously, because when
calcite, are they?
Yeah, of course they are. Well, where do you think it comes from? Where do you think?
You're supposed to come in here having researched a couple of things. You just come up with some sort of nonsense.
No.
You just dreamed up out of thin air.
Well, I didn't come in here tonight and expect you to be talking about doves falling out of the air, Niagara Falls. Why did we get on to Niagara Falls anyway?
Well, because it's an incredible picture and a scene where Niagara Falls. The last time it froze apparently was sometime in the 19th century.
Yeah, was it? No.
So I've actually read about what has happened over there.
It's frozen since then. I mean, when was the last time the Great Lakes froze? This time last year.
No, well, that's not Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls is a massive body of water that's moving.
Yes,
the lakes are not moving water.
I know that, man.
That's the
but what I'm saying is they're very close together, aren't they? On the
that's
same,
like saying,
concentric circle.
your pond freezes, but when you turn the tap on, that doesn't freeze.
Yeah. I tell you what I heard about tonight. All these mad people in that part of the world. 30 people have been scalded.
Oh yeah, they're throwing boiling water on each other.
Yeah. They boil great pans of water on their stoves, go out, and it's a bit of a laugh. They want to see water turn to ice in midair. They throw it up. It comes down all over their faces, and they're all scalded and burnt and in hospital. What a bunch of numpties!
Sounds like the sort of thing you'd do. Cinnamon challenge, anybody? This is Talk Sport. The two bikes back next.
Bit harsh.
This is Talk Sport Extra Time. We are the two Mikes. He is Mike Parry. I'm Mike Graham. You'll be able to get a podcast of this on iTunes, of course. Not very long ahead from this. A few hours from now, go to iTunes and download it. And there's a whole load of other ones there as well. Mike, I'm assuming that you know what that piece of music is.
Well, it's fantastic, isn't it? That's Led Zeppelin and A Whole Lot of Love.
Whole Lot of Love, very good.
Yeah.
Which, of course, became the Top of the Pops theme tune.
Well, it did without the words, didn't it? Didn't they play without the words?
Yeah, well, they just played it,
but
an instrumental
Yeah,
version.
but it was somebody else's version of it. It wasn't Led Zeppelin's,
Yeah,
was
well,
it?
they couldn't use Led Zeppelin's version.
Oh, is that
they
right?
Wouldn't give them permission.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that, yeah. You showed me a fantastic picture one of our old pals in America
Mickey
took.
Brennan took it when Led Zeppelin were at their height and they had their own plane to fly around the States in.
Yeah.
They were the first kind of rock band to have their own proper plane. It was all signed
Yeah.
up with Led Zeppelin and everything. Actually had a fireplace inside the plane.
I've seen the picture. I can't believe it.
I'll tweet the picture, actually.
And they've got a log-burning fire in the fireplace on board the plane.
I presume they couldn't have made that work. It must have been like a fake fireplace, but it's just done out like your living room.
Incredible.
Absolutely amazing. And it's Robert Plant and Jimmy Page and John Bonham and John Paul Jones.
And these guys all live in sort of Kidderminster, or two of them did. I did the Boxing Day show with Dance, who used to work in a guitar shop in Birmingham.
Yeah.
Robert Plant used to come in.
Right.
I think it was Robert Plant. And he said he used to see these guys all the time, a Midlands-based group. The other thing about Led Zeppelin, and by the way, the reason we're playing that is because yesterday Jimmy Page was 70 years of age.
Which is hard to imagine, really, isn't it?
It is hard to imagine. Just for a moment, when they went on their first tour of America, they were so suspicious that the Americans would rip them off and that they'd have to pay taxes. They demanded on being paid in each concert in cash, right?
Well, Peter Grant was their manager, right?
Was he?
And he was an amazing guy. He was the first guy, as far as a lot of music business people knew, to carry a gun. He used to carry a gun around with him. And if he didn't like the way that they were going to pay him, he'd just take the gun out and go, we want cash, or else, unfortunately, something's going to happen to you.
You know what happened? I don't know if Peter organised it, but they decided to put all this money in cash in this huge sort of coffin-like thing, which 4 security guards then had to carry around, like on poles, like stretcher bearers, from concert to concert and back to the plane. On one of the concerts, they were carrying the coffin with the money in back to the plane. They got mugged, and somebody nicked off with $70,000, which is a lot of money in those days, probably the equivalent of $700,000 these days, and they lost it.
Times.
But anyway, look, the reason we are talking about it is Jimmy Page is 70, right? This is the end of another era. McCartney and Ringo Starr, who might star together in a show in New York.
He needs to give up, McCartney. He needs to stop doing it.
They're well over 70. Jagger's well over 70. Bowie is 70. Now Jimmy Page is 70. It's all over, Mike. Our era of great music has gone. And
some of them are still making music, which is not bad.
Well, some of them are, but you see, there's no music left in the world. There's no music left. Now,
there's loads of music left in the world.
No. Let me tell you this. I know this. I've studied music, and let me tell you this.
Oh, you studied that as well?
Yes, I have.
In between the bird study and the ornithology.
Yeah. Let me tell you this. The reason why you no longer hear music that Mozart and Schubert and Handel used to play is because those guys were so brilliant. They brought together every combination of musical note you can possibly imagine to produce what we know as classical music. Nobody writes classical music anymore.
So how did blues emerge then?
Well, blues emerged because
they played a different collection of notes.
Of course they did. And then popular music, like pop music, was another collection of notes, right?
Well, Led Zeppelin was blues, basically.
Yeah, blues and...
You don't know anything about music, do you?
Yes, I do. And it was heavy metal as well, and hard rock and all that kind of stuff. Now, all the combinations of notes have now been put together. The musical world has run out of the ability to put combinations of musical notes together to make new sounds.
What are you talking about?
No, they have, honestly.
Absolute rubbish again.
Look, why do you think there's no new words in the English language?
There's loads of new words.
No, there's not.
There are new words going into the dictionary every single year.
No, but they're stupid words. They're stupid words.
There's still new words.
And
the language is evolving.
But they're stupid colloquial words. And
they're not. No, they're not.
Yes, they are. And the only modern new music you get is colloquial rubbish, which is an imitation of the great music of the past.
That is absolute nonsense.
Nobody can write a new original. You will never hear a song, for instance, like "Relax" by Frankie Goes to Hollywood again.
I don't want to hear that too
or anything
often.
like that. Oh, I love that record. I think it's a fantastic record. Yeah, relax, don't do it.
Yeah,
when you want to go to it, and all that.
Well, you told me that you like that song that we play on the two mics sometimes.
It is, yeah, it's good.
Which is a new song. It's only a couple of years old. Well, how do you explain that?
Yeah, but it sounds like the Doobie Brothers from 30 years ago, doesn't it? It's just an imitation.
It doesn't sound anything like
Everywhere
the Doobie
you
Brothers.
go, you can take the weather. That's another record which sounds like a record that was made 25 years ago. I mean, they just are. They're imitations. Anyway, look.
You've actually left me speechless with this rant.
Well, I'm sorry, but I'm absolutely right. I am absolutely right. Who's that group that I really like, which I discovered from 10 years ago?
The Kings of Leon.
Kings of Leon. Now, they're not bad, but when you listen to them, I know where all this has come from. T-Rex. they're just imitating T-Rex.
The problem with you is you're just trapped in a particular time vortex.
I'm not.
And you only like things from the 70s and the 80s because they made some indelible impression on you at the time.
Do you think a group will...
Unfortunately for you, you've stopped expanding your mind. You've stopped looking at new things. You've stopped reading new things. You've stopped listening to new things. And all you are is basically an old fuddy-duddy who thinks that the greatest rock band in the world was Led Zeppelin and the greatest songwriter in the world was Paul McCartney.
No, I didn't. I think it was John Lennon.
You need to think about it a bit more.
I think it was
and
John
you need
Lennon.
to expose yourself to a bit more music.
Thing is, when John Lennon was cut down savagely, massively in what we should call our second hometown, New York, a whole era died, just went with him. Just think of the records that Lennon would have made in the last 30 years if he was still alive.
Yeah.
We'll never, ever hear those.
And all of those guys also now know that there are new bands coming through that they like, and that Paul McCartney's always talking about other bands that he quite likes.
Yeah, but they were all influenced by what McCartney did, by what Jagger did, by what Keith Richards did.
But not anymore. Anyway, that's a very boring point of view, I'm afraid. I've now got to have to put you in a box and ban you from talking about music from now on, because if that's your view, it's an absolutely ridiculous view.
I don't care what you think, Mike, because frankly, the trouble with you is you can't concentrate on anything for more than 5 seconds and give a valid and established view on world-changing events like Jimmy Page turning 70.
Yeah.
Anyway...
Well, let's talk about another world-changing event, because over the course of the last few days, the Consumer Electronics Show has been going on in Las Vegas, and I'm sure you've been to Las Vegas a few times.
I have, yeah.
Very, very glamorous place for a man of your abilities. And I don't know whether you've seen any of these new gadgets, but they brought out quite a few of these, what they call wearable gadgets, right? Which include things you can wear around your head which monitor your heartbeat, things you can wear on your wrist that you can attach to your mobile phone. So when you go out on your walks, you can tell whether you're about to drop dead. I think you should get one.
I wouldn't need one.
Why?
I can tell when I'm going to drop dead just by listening.
How can you tell when you're going to drop dead?
Well, you know what I mean. I can tell when I'm overstretching my body because there's two.
Is it true that you smell something, by the way? Because there was a funny situation here the other night. I was walking around the corner.
Yeah.
I was just going out downstairs to have a smoke.
Yeah.
And suddenly I could smell toast. And when I told somebody that I could smell toast, they said, "Oh, that's a warning that you're going to have a stroke."
What?
And I didn't have a stroke, fortunately.
Don't know
Otherwise,
about
I wouldn't
that.
be here talking to you.
Don't know anything about
But
that.
did you not smell anything before you had your heart attack?
Well, I didn't have a heart attack. I had acute heart failure. It just stopped
What's the
working.
difference?
Well, a heart attack is something to do with...
You're another expert in this. This would have been good when you were going over to Germany to explain to those German scientists.
Exactly,
This is what happened to me. I didn't have a heart attack.
I didn't. No, my heart just got too
Well, it
big.
stopped.
No, what happens is the left-hand side of your heart is supposed to pump blood back around your body.
Right.
After the right-hand side of your heart brings it into the heart,
Okay.
and the left pushes out again. Mine got
Well,
so
it just
flabby.
got like a pond.
No, it got so flabby, like a balloon, that got too big, and it didn't push it back. So the blood just stopped there.
So it didn't smell toast or anything.
No, it doesn't smell toast or anything.
that's good.
A heart attack is like a blood clot, which gets into your heart,
So
and bang,
your
you just go
blood's-
down.
yeah, right.
You just, bonk, you're just gone. It's because your blood's thickened, right? But
And you don't smell toast then either.
No, I don't smell toast. Talking about that, I know 3 people who died as a result of, sudden trauma, like a head injury or something like that, who lay unconscious for maybe 24 hours or 36 hours, who then came bolt upright in the bed. Asked for
Why are you laughing?
I'm sorry.
a tragic sort of story,
No, it
isn't
is
it?
tragic. Asked for a glass of sherry, drunk the sherry, and then then died. I don't know
I don't
why.
believe that.
No, I'm serious. Honest to God. I don't know why. It happened to my mate's elder brother. It happened to a mate of mine who was a photographer on the Express in Manchester who bashed his head in when he tried to lean on the balcony in his bedroom, but they didn't have a balcony, and he fell out the window. I
don't understand why you're laughing.
But there was a third case I heard about in which when you go into this trauma type thing and sit bolt upright in bed, and one guy asked for a glass of port, the other ones asked for a glass of sherry, and they drunk that and then died.
Yeah.
I know that
Well, the
sounds
brain is a very
ridiculous.
strange thing.
It is a very strange thing, but I know it's ridiculous.
Your brain is particularly strange. What about this other gadget that I saw?
Yeah.
And I'm a bit uneasy about this. Driverless cars is
Yeah.
something that all the car manufacturers are now making these driverless cars. I can't quite envisage a world where nobody's driving a car, but there's loads of cars going down the street. Can you?
I can, because if you think about it, man, we've moved on so much. I mean, here in London, we've got driverless trains.
Yeah.
Now, I know what you said earlier when we were discussing this. Well, at least they're on tracks, so they can only go in one direction. But surely, I mean, we've already got sensors on cars which stop you bashing into a wall at the back.
Yeah.
My new car, ill
How's it going this week with the new car? Has anything happened to it?
Nearly hit a fox on the way in tonight. Honestly, these urban foxes are all over the
I
place.
know.
They're very, very dangerous. But my new car has got side sensors, which I didn't even have on the Jag. And that means that if you're, sometimes you come to these narrow roads that have posts like that to stop vans going up them and all that.
Traffic calming.
Yeah, that's right. And they bleep like mad, you know what I mean? So if you've got that and you've got sensors on the front as well, which it has, you're already immune to hitting things around you in terms you get a warning. So they must be able to
if it's a
develop
driverless car, you're not sitting in the driver's seat, you're sitting in the passenger seat, aren't you? And it's just driving, or sitting in the back, maybe.
You could be asleep in the back. But if it's being directed by a satellite, of course it'll work. Of course it will. I mean,
unless the satellite cuts out.
Well,
I
no.
wouldn't fancy it. I don't fancy it.
Well, Mike, think about the way drones work, and if they can make a drone work, surely can make
Quite a few of them around here.
Drones?
Drones, yeah.
No, I hope not. Drones attack people. Fantastic opening to the fourth Bourne film. Have you seen it? You know the Bourne film that doesn't star Matt Damon?
Yeah.
Stars from This guy has to...
He's in a cave or something, isn't he?
Well, this guy has to hike over a mountain in Alaska and all that.
It starts something. He's in a cave, isn't he?
But when he eventually gets to where he's going, the Americans decide they want to get rid of the guy he's gone to see. So the guy that he's gone to see has got, his identity tag chipped into his body. They just send a drone and blow him to Kingdom Come.
Yeah, but there's somebody directing that. It's not just going on its own, is it?
Well,
somebody has to direct
by the way,
car.
By the way, the guy who's playing Jason Bourne...
Yeah, what's his name?
I don't know. But, I mean, he's not very famous. But
he's not very famous.
He takes his chip out of his own body, right, realising he's going to be next.
I've seen the film.
And sticks it in a wolf who's going to attack him, and the wolf, just as he's about to attack, suddenly cops it with another drone.
Yeah. I've seen the film.
Yeah,
you don't have to describe it.
Okay.
Now, listen, I want to talk to you about something else that's been bothering me slightly.
Yeah, go on.
Have you noticed everywhere you go at the moment, there's food banks?
Do you know
food
what?
collection tins.
Do you know what?
Have you noticed that?
It's funny you should say that. You won't believe this. I went into a building society today to sort out some paperwork.
Don't tell me there's one in there.
Yeah, honestly,
Really?
I'm not joking.
Food collection point.
Yeah, this is the Yorkshire Building Society, okay?
Yeah.
And I go up to the window, and on my left there's it's just a cardboard box. It looks like somebody's left it there. And I think,
somebody probably had left it there.
Well, it had been positioned there, that's what I'm saying, rather than somebody leaving it there. So I looked in it, and there was 2 packets of instant smashed potato, a carton of long life milk.
Oh, yeah, like carnation stuff.
That's right. And literally a tin of jam sponge pudding, right?
Literally?
Yeah. And I thought, are these gifts that the Building Society give you for doing business with them? Seriously. So I was...
You didn't think that?
Yeah, I did. So I put my hand in, and I thought, and I said to the girl, what's all... She said, it's our food bank. I said, what do you mean it's a food bank? She said, yeah, it's a very, very good cause, you can bring something and put it... I said, who's it for? She said, those who are not as fortunate as us. Here, what about this story on the front of the Daily Mail tonight? Some 59 households in Britain were claiming at least £900 a week in benefits, right?
Yeah.
Right, to a salary of almost £70,000 before tax. So who are these food banks serving?
Well, the food banks are supposedly giving more and more people food, right? So why didn't you just take one of these tins then?
Well, I don't need one. I don't need to take a packet of Smash home with me because I'm actually able to afford a packet of Smash
You buy
myself.
your own Smash?
I like Smash, by the way.
You're still eating that Smash?
Yeah, I like the Smash. But what I'm saying is, Mike, who on earth are these food banks for? Who are they for?
Well, I don't know who they're for, because as you look around the country...
Would you give any food to a food bank?
No.
No, I wouldn't either.
No.
And I'm not being mean or I'm not being unkind, but it's
don't know where it's
ridiculous.
going.
It's the dependency society. Yeah. It's the welfare state extended. Yeah. It's not good for us.
Yeah, if you want food, go and buy it in the supermarket. We are the 2 Mikes. He's Mike Parry. I am Mike Graham.